All right, traders, the market insanity for the day has been absolutely insane. Within this video, I'm going to be explaining to you on why I believe the bull trap has been initiated and why I believe within some time these SPY put options are going to print along with the stocks that follow the SPY. We're going to be going over some important updates. Ackman now owns a stake in Netflix, which is helping the market to spike as well during after hours. The market's having a little spike here. So we're going to be breaking down all of this price action, and I'm going to give you a better understanding on where these stocks are headed for the short term and where they're headed for the midterm. This is going to walk you through when to be bullish, when to buy the call options, when to be bearish, when to buy the put options. In terms of my day, today was absolutely insane. I definitely over traded. I'm currently up big on the day. However, that is unrealized. I ended up swing trading some put options. I'm up 45% on BBBY puts. I bought those literally towards the top today, and then I'm up nearly 60% on SPY puts. Bought those literally towards the top today when it was at 440. So with that being said, I'm going to be explaining to you on why I chose to hold overnight. Obviously, I'm taking a risk here with the market volatility of giving back my profits, but I'm comfortable with doing so because I can always look to get back in, and I am taking the bigger risk of trying to aim for a bigger win. But I'm going to get into this whole macro idea of this whole bull trap. But with that being said, today was absolutely crazy, guys. I'm going to be recapping the trades and recapping the analysis towards the end of this video. Right now, let's break down the current price action right before we get into the trades. So in terms of the current price action with the SPY, I'm going to explain to you on why I think we kind of initiated a bull trap for the day. So, the meeting was at around 2 and 2:30, right? And with that being said, we had the micro rally. Like I told you guys, if you've been watching the videos and following along with the analysis within chat room, I've been telling you guys that for the micro, I was bullish on the market. I was expecting overall SPY to have some sort of short-term spike where this can get to potentially 447 to 449. Well, the high of day was 444. I picked up the put options when SPY was at 440. It dropped all the way to 429. My price target for the day was exactly at 429. That's exactly where it bottomed. In terms of the price target for the week, I think we can go a little bit lower. But with that being said, in terms of the current price action, like I explained to you guys in yesterday's video, the key for the bulls to take control, for the bulls to step in is we had 2 days in a row where you have this key gap fill level at 438, and then you have this key gap fill level at 439. You can see SPY fills the gap, it has a reversal, it gets crushed. SPY fills the gap, it has a reversal, it gets crushed, right? So in terms of what it did today, it did manage to turn that 440 level into support, which is bullish. That means it's going to try to run to 447 to 449, the next overall level on the daily chart, right? And for the vast majority of the day, it was trying to fill the gap. Right here, it tried to fill the gap in the morning. I actually bought a put here, got squeezed pretty quickly, got out, cut my loss to 20%. And with that being said, it attempted to fill the gap. It went even lower, tried to fill the gap. But then before the Fed meeting, it started to rally, and it started to have that rally before that meeting, right? And that's where I became very micro bullish for the day. And I actually bought put options on VXX. And those ended up doing fairly well. In the beginning, I lost like 11% on those, but then I made it all back and more, got back in, made a 13% win, sold way too soon. Those were up over 35% today at one point. And then after that, I got the SPY puts. We'll get into that. But in terms of the SPY, it managed to turn this key 440 into a support level, which is extremely bullish. And right here, this is a very bullish confirmation as well. When you see this bottom wick candle forming support at that key resistance, right? So the micro was very, very bullish. Then once this meeting started to occur, and if you guys have been paying attention how SPY reacts to the meetings, it typically does the opposite of the initial reaction from an overall point of view. So initially right here is when it spiked, and then it typically does the opposite from a macro point of view. And that's when the bear stepped in with this double top at 444. And like I told you guys, if you ever see 440 break down and react as a resistance level, the bull trap will be initiated. The bears are going to take control, and this is going to come crashing back down. And that's exactly what happened. And it came crashing back down to fill the gap below. So in terms of like my swing trades for the day, these were like the best ones. The trades before this, I had a very nice trade on BBBY. I was up 20%. Like I said, I gave back the profits. I entered BBBY puts very early this morning, gave back the profits, had a small win. And then I had a small scratch on the SPY puts, small scratch on the VIX puts, and then I made it back with the VIX puts. And then these were the two killer trades. These were the trades that put me up very, very big green, but they are currently unrealized because I did end up swing trading. I'm going to explain to you why. So at 2:25 p.m., I alerted the BBBY puts at $1.10. The strike was 15, and I gave myself some time February 4th. That was literally towards the low of day on those contracts. They shot up to 160s quickly after. SPY puts at $10.70. The strike is 440. I played these at the money. The expiration is February 18th. Give myself plenty of time because this is a macro trade for me. I'm trying to hold this out. Max risk is going to be around 440 on those. With that being said, my price target for 429 today did hit. That was literally the bottom. And these are all real time at 2:34 p.m., 2:25 p.m., right? And then I held those overnight. I also ended up swing trading PROG puts. I bought the puts when PROG was at like 154 today. It currently dropped to 143. So with that being said, those are my current swing trades. I do have a macro trade on KSS. I think for the macro, I have a March 18th $60 put strike on this one. I think for the macro, this will drop down to $55 easily. So in terms of why I think we're kind of in this bear trap in this bull trap from a technical point of view, I'm looking at the daily on SPY. And to me, it looks like we're setting up for something similar to 2020, just as not as brutal as a crash. So right here, back in 2020 towards February, so very similar timing as well. SPY has a flash crash. It just drops 10% down like it recently did. SPY recently had a 10% crash from 480 all the way to like 422. And then it has a nice little rip up. And then you could see that doesn't last that long. It goes up for about 3 to 4 days straight, and then it's just a hard sell-off. So I think we're going to see some sort of similar thing happen, just not as brutal as a crash. But my overall view on the market right now is from a macro perspective. I think these next 2 to 3 weeks are going to be a bloodbath. I think SPY's going lower. I think we can potentially hit 390 on the SPY. But that's why I went with February 18th. I'm kind of comparing this to 2020 in a sense. Like, it took a little bit more than a month for SPY to bottom out. And what I'm telling you is this is kind of only a partial of the move. We still have more downside to come. We could be potentially right around here. And we have much more. I think the market can personally crash another 10% from where we're at within the next 3 weeks. It's definitely possible. So like with that being said, once I noticed there was just so many confirmations in terms of like these put options, like I've noticed before the Fed meeting, it'll have the micro spike. And then when it starts selling off and turns it into resistance right around here, when you see this key support turn into resistance around here, like these lower highs forming, the macro trend tends to kick in and SPY tends to get crushed. So that's kind of what I was looking at using that whole gap close reversal strategy as well. We had the gap to fill right here. It filled the gap today. And then once I noticed it was reacting as resistance, played it for the key breakdown for then this gap to fill below. And then as soon as SPY filled this gap below, it had a little micro bounce, but the new lower highs kicked in and it got crushed. I was very patient in that sense. So with that being said, like this chart is just setting up for a bull trap in my opinion. And this could have been it. This could have potentially been it where that bull trap I was looking for towards 447 to 449, well, 444, this could be it before the end, before we see that market crash. But with that being said, in terms of the daily chart right now, this just isn't looking bullish to me as well. Like this candlestick right here, it doesn't scream bullish to me. This nice red candle coming in, like it looks like the same candlestick as this. Like it just looks like we've got more downside coming. That's what this looks like. It looks like it simply had its spike back up and it's turning, some key previous support right around here, just slightly lower into resistance level, right? When you see these hard sell-offs at key support, so like your key support is right around here, it just flash crashed right through, went all the way down to 420, and then it rips back up. I just personally think that it's kind of forming some lower highs. Instead of going back to this key support at 449 to 447, I just think we're forming some lower highs at 444, and the daily candle looks fairly bearish in my opinion. So in terms of, potential upside, let's talk about that now. So we are up a little bit in extended hours. I'm not too concerned about that, especially with the news that just dropped on Netflix. That's definitely going to help run the market up. Tesla is also, trying to come back as well. Like these are going to help the market out a little bit, right? When you have these heavy hitters buying heavy stakes. So with that being said, like I personally think it's just a little micro spike, a little micro movement. I'm still bearish for the macro. So in terms of like the SPY, this is what I'm personally looking for tomorrow. So we are currently gapping up in after hours. With the volatility in the market, this can change like a light. This can literally change like a light. The volatility is absolutely insane right now. So in terms of like where I think we can be at on this overall move is something like this. See how SPY closes right here. It closes at 446.75. The next day it opened up at 445.56, right? And then it had a little spike. It went to 448, so it spiked a little bit higher than the previous close, but then overall it just closed weak and it sold off. I think we could see some sort of similar pattern where SPY has a little morning spike towards the morning and then it sells off very, very hard for the day. That's where I think what we can potentially see for tomorrow. And here's what I want you to understand in terms of the current price action for the SPY. The bulls, the key level is 440. It's either make it or break it. They don't have a lot of time. They need to turn 440 into support. That needs to happen. If they can't do it soon, this is going to fall off a cliff. It's just as simple as that. 440 has to break out and turn into support. If that can happen, the bulls are going to delay this whole macro move that I'm expecting and try to push it to 449. So with that being said, for the bears, we really need to see the main goal. We need to see this. So like, yeah, it can have a little spike. Overall, in terms of tomorrow, I don't want this going above 438. Like, I want it to stay under 438, and then we need to crack this 435 and turn into resistance. That is key for tomorrow. Crack 435, turn into resistance, and we should be good to go to just ride those macro puts out. So there's a reason why I chose my expiration, because like I told you guys, I'm expecting the bloodbath to be in the next 3 weeks, right? So I'm giving myself enough time. My max current risk is going to be at 440 to 442. And the theta decay is not going to affect me on my SPY puts because I have plenty of time. So I'm not going to be paying a lot in terms of the time decay, in terms of the theta decay. But that's where I think we're over at. So just understand for bulls, I still think the bulls are very, very in trouble, not only for the macro, but for the micro. They have to turn 440 into support and break out. It's either make it or break it. If they can't do it soon, this is going to get ugly very, very fast. The bears need to stay under 438. And they just need the key for tomorrow. The goal for tomorrow is to crack 435. Crack 435, turn into resistance. If we can do that, we're going to be on track to go to like 425 to 420s by Friday. If we can just close under like 435, form a nice red candle on the daily. So that's kind of where I'm at in terms of the SPY. I'm really not too concerned about this spike at all. You know, if I'm aiming for a big win, obviously I'm in a situation where if I'm swing trading with this whole market volatility, like, yeah, I can give back a lot of my profits. I'm well aware. This is just one of those rare situations where I'll risk a big portion of profits to aim for a bigger win. Because if this whole SPY idea works out and it crashes to 390 in like 3 weeks, then those puts will be up 400%. So me personally, I'm willing to take the risk. Worst case scenario, I get stopped out for like break even or take a small loss, and then I could look to get back in on puts if it rips to like 449. If this isn't the bull trap, no worries. I'm already up a lot. So like worst case scenario, I get out towards break even or I take my small loss and then I get back in and make it all back and more. Like, I'm completely fine with how this is playing out. So these are my current thoughts. These are my current views on the overall market. Like I said, for bulls, it's either make it or break it. They're the ones in trouble, not the bears, especially from a macro point of view, in my opinion. It's been 3 days now since 3 days in a row where they failed to turn 440 into support. And this looks extremely bearish. This candlestick looks like death. This looks very, very bearish. It looks like this move. So that's what I'm going to be looking for heading in tomorrow. I think it's just going to be another fake out. I think the bulls are about to get faked out, especially from a macro point of view. These are just little micro price action spikes. If you've been following the SPY, like, it always has these little short-term rip ups before crashing. Just look at how many big spikes this had before really selling off today, right? So this is just part of the game, and this is just it simply reflecting off of this whole Netflix situation and other things like that. That's my personal opinion on this. I listened to the whole speech in the meeting today. I personally felt very, very uncertain for the short term. They didn't seem confident at all. It honestly seemed like a joke in a sense. Like, I really think these next 3 weeks are going to be a bloodbath for the overall market. So with that being said, that's my thoughts. That's the analysis on the whole SPY situation. Now, in terms of PROG, this is a classic bull trap. So like I told you guys, the best price to buy PROG, and like I told you guys when it was in the 3, this is going to drop to $1.08. For those who listened, their portfolios were saved. For those who didn't, they got stuck holding the bag and they're about to be stuck in another bag. So with that being said, PROG just filled a gap. There was a gap to fill at 169 on this. So just understand, it had a gap close reversal. The key oversold point was at $1.08. It nearly filled the gap and it shot up. It had its gap close reversal. It did its thing like it always does. Every single time the stock fills a gap, it has a nice spike. It has a nice rip up. We call that a gap close reversal. And then it shot back up to fill this gap at 169, which is also a key resistance level. And if you study how PROG reacted, very, very bearish. Right here towards pre-market, this hit all the way to 185. Right out the gate, it turned it into resistance, turned it into lower highs. So that's what we call a gap close reversal. As soon as we see that PROG has that big move up and then it's turning that key gap fill level into resistance, we're going to look to short the stock. We're going to look to grab the puts. So this is very, very bearish. In my opinion, we're heading back to 120s fairly quickly. The puts should do all right. I just have a small position on that due to lack of liquidity and stuff like that. And I personally think the puts that are going to print and the ones that are up the most right now, I'm only up like 15% on the PROG puts, but I'm up nearly 60% on SPY and 43% on BBBY. Those are my heavy position sizes, macro trades. But yeah, I'm bearish on PROG as well. And that's just something I would do light size on. My full confidence plays are BBBY and especially the SPY. So in terms of BBBY, we had the small little micro spike in after hours, completely normal. Whenever BBBY sells off hard, it has a little micro spike before crashing. Here's where I think we're at with this one. I think we're setting up for another phenomenal put opportunity. This stock is a gift that just keeps on giving in terms of puts. You have key resistance right here. Check this out. There's a gap to fill at 1604. Hard sell-off, goes all the way to 1330s. Quickly gaps up to fill this gap. Once it fills the gap, what does it do? It has a reversal, gets crushed. A couple days later in the 1250s. Then you have another gap to fill right here at 1546. And then what does BBBY do? It gets absolutely crushed, rips back up, it fills the gap. Yesterday it filled the gap, which was literally the highs, has a gap close reversal. Now it's getting crushed again. So if you study the history of this stock, this is on track to get absolutely crushed. This is another bull trap. This is the third time I've crushed it on BBBY puts within this month. So with that being said, we're on track to really go back to low 13s, in my opinion, this week, low 13s, where I think we're at in terms of the chart. I think we're kind of like right here. I think we're just sitting like right here on this candle, and then we're just on track to really dip very soon into the 13s. So that's kind of where I think we're at. The overall daily chart on this is extremely bearish. If we see micro spikes on these in the morning, so if we see some resistance coming in on BBBY at like 1510, 1520, that would be the time to add to puts. If we see some resistance coming in on the SPY towards like 437, around there, then that would be the time to add to the puts, right? And then especially once these go into their previous closing prices, they're going to get wrecked. Once these stocks really go into their closing prices, their previous closing prices. So yeah, keep those plays in mind. SDC, this looks like a PROG, similar in a sense. It looks like another bull trap is being created here where this goes back to fill the gap at 2. Tesla. So Tesla is doing its thing during after hours with the whole earnings. Kind of just sideways, similar to Microsoft yesterday. Don't have much of an opinion on this one at the moment. Not really interested in it. Like I said, I'm mainly focused on macro puts for SPY. That's like my number one play. And then I'm focused on my BBBY puts as well. In terms of Netflix, here's what you're going to want to look for tomorrow. Netflix has a gap to fill. There's a gap to fill right here at, let's see, where is this? 397.5. 397.5, keep that number in mind, and this number too, $409, those two levels. This level right here, 397.5, that's where Netflix can have a reversal and get crushed. This level right here at 409, that's a key resistance level. That's a gap breakout level. If Netflix breaks out above this and turns it into support, Netflix is going to rock it to at least like 420, 430, try to fill the gap. It should get to about 420, 430, a nice little breakout there. With that being said, we're currently at 376. So what I want you to understand for Netflix is this is your crucial level. 376 is make it or break it for Netflix. If it cracks and goes under, Very, very bearish, hard sell off, goes back to 355. If it breaks out and stays above, it's gonna try to go back to like $400, right around there. Overall, my point of views are, I think this is going to be a whole fake out situation. I think the macro is going to kick in soon enough, and then these are going to sell back off. But that's what you need to understand about Netflix. For this rally to continue to run, for the bulls to remain in control, it's 375. 375 is make it or break it. Look at what happened when it cracked 375. Hard sell off to 356. And this just spiked up like it was nothing. So it's holding up on thin air. So what I want you to understand is your make it or break it level is 375. Cracks turns into resistance. Hard sell, very, very bearish scalp puts. If it holds up, it's going to try to go to like 409. If 409 reacts as a resistance, back to 375. If it reacts to support and breaks out, then it goes to 420. Overall, I would avoid it in terms of buying, because I think it's going to overall follow the market, and I'm very bearish on the market from a macro point of view. So just keep these things in mind. In terms of Lucid stock, this is extremely bearish. Keep an eye on this one for the key breakdown. Once this stock cracks this low, this $33, it's holding up on thin air. There's really no support, and there's a gap to fill at 27. You're going to want to look to get some puts on the key breakdown. So if you see this crack, this, $33 level and turn into resistance, pick up the puts, ride this down to like 27 to fill this gap. Very, very bearish on Lucid from a macro point of view. In terms of super long term, extremely bullish on Lucid. I just personally think we're going to really downtrend within these next 3 weeks, and these stocks are really going to start to get crushed and fill these gaps that are waiting to fill below. So keep that in mind. Coles, like I told you, we're at key resistance. I think we're going to go to 55 within some time. I picked up some puts on those. In March, I'm up like 10% on those right now. It was a March 18th $60 put strike for like $5. Coca-Cola, we're setting up for the bull trap. For this one, the best entry would be 60.45 for the gap to fill. We'll see. It's up a tiny bit in after hours. We'll see, but I'm looking to get a macro put option at least March 18th for Coca-Cola very, very soon. Extremely bearish on this one. I think we're going to go within the next couple weeks to like 56.60 on this. BBIG, like, just avoid buying these stocks, man. If this ramps to like 390 to 460, I'm going to be shorting this heavily and getting puts if we get the resistance confirmations. Do not buy into this. These are going to be some major bull traps coming up. And I think that's going to cover it. Yeah, overall, that's going to cover it. So yeah, in between that, I went over, the majority of the trades today. Like I said, in the morning, it was just quick in and outs, just quick scalps, kind of sloppy on my part. But towards the end of the day, I finished strong, and I'm up very, very green on the day. And I'm telling you, like, if this macro trade works out, this could be a six-figure month. It is definitely possible for this to be a six-figure month. If SPY can go to like 390 in 3 weeks, those puts can go up like 400%. And in terms of those puts, I'm sized in very, very heavily, and I'm taking the risk. I'm taking the risk. This is one of those rare situations where we get another situation on this whole, SPY bull trap idea, and I'm willing to take the risk. If I get back to profit, like I said, I get out break even. I take my small win. I take my small loss, whatever it happens to be. And then I look to step back in at a better entry, because I'm sold on this idea right now that for the macro, the bears are going to step in and the market's going to go lower to ideally 390 on the SPY. So it's just fighting that short-term price action. It's just there's not much that I have to really fight since I'm up so much because I got such a phenomenal entry. And I got my contract at the money and I had plenty of time. So there's really not much to fight in my part right now. So I'm chilling, I'm comfortable with my positions. I'm confident in these plays, these very rare situations, and I'm very comfortable with these. If I happen to be wrong for the micro and I step out, it is what it is. I can always get back in. I got to do what's best, in this situation. And then this is just something where I'm willing to take the bigger risk instead of just, locking in for a quick 60, 70% gain in like 1 hour. Instead of doing that, in this situation, I'm going to take the bigger risk and aim for the bigger win. And when you do that, sometimes you get back profits and then sometimes you get the bigger win. It is what it is. You can try your best to protect the profits if you want to do that too. The max risk would be towards like 437. This is just one of those plays though where I'm just really focused on the big win. With the current market volatility and the way things are setting up, I think it's going to be another classic bull trap. So that's my thoughts. That's my analysis. I could be wrong for the short term and, take take a small loss to get out, break even. But from a macro point of view, I think I'm going to be right, and I could always look to get back in on that with the better entry. So I think it's going to work out overall, guys. But congrats. I've seen you guys, man. A lot of you guys, it's like the same people, very consistent, have been really crushing it. Like, I'm seeing the results. Like, man, I'm telling you, we got some people in here who are very, very consistent. Like, man, some of the results I've seen, I got to give this guy a shout. He's been extremely consistent as well. Brody, he's absolutely killing it, man, rocking all puts. Like, this today was phenomenal, guys. Like, those last 2 trades that I made were like, you can't really get better than that in sense of like market direction, like getting puts on SPY at 440 and then getting the BBBY puts. So yeah, we'll see what tomorrow holds. No regrets of holding overnight, whether I'm giving back the profits or not. No regrets. I'm taking my risk and aiming for the big move. Sometimes I do that, and then sometimes I lock in profits. But yeah, I'll keep you guys up to date in terms of what I'm doing. For those of you, within Trader Society, I will see you again tomorrow live at Market Open, guys. I'm looking forward to the live trading session. Today we did 2 live streams. We did the second one, right before the meeting, right? And that was great price action. I was very micro bullish, expecting a rally before the meeting. And then after the meeting, that's when I became very, very bearish when SPY had its fake out towards 442. So, if you do want to be a part of Trader Society, all the information is explained down below. It's the first link in the description, tradersociety.net. Just to give you some background in terms of what is included. There's a video lesson library and education suite that includes all of the price action, trading, technical strategies, risk management, position sizing, and psychology. You also get one-on-one access to direct message me personally. You can do that live on the spot in the live trading streams every single day at Market Open. You can also do it in the chat room. You can send me a direct message one-on-one, and you get access to the chat room, the real-time trade alerts, and there's a lot to it, guys. So if you are interested in that, it's a one-time fee. It's lifetime access to, not only the product, the video lesson library, but to the service. Like, we're talking about, the service that goes on every single day, the chat room, the watch list, the live trading streams. So it's the first link in the description. I'm looking forward to trading with you guys live at Market Open. You can join us as soon as, instant access for tomorrow, and you get lifetime access to that. So I will see you guys till then, and I'm very excited for tomorrow, guys. There's going to be some phenomenal opportunities. Like, if it doesn't work out for the micro, it gets stopped out, always get back in. Like, I think for the macro, it's going to favor the bulls. I mean, it's going to favor the bears. I think it's going to be a bull trap. So yeah, we'll see how tomorrow unfolds. These next 2 days are going to be very interesting. Next week is going to be absolutely insane, guys. But yeah, till then, I'll see you guys live at Market Open.